back to another episode of Next to Madison. On today's episode, we are talking health and wellness, but more specifically, the cannabis industry. We hear so much about this industry, but we don't know enough about it. You've heard the benefits of CBD, you've heard the benefits of weed or marijuana. There's so many different names of hemp that's been used in skincare products. And so I am actually sitting down today to talk with the CEO and the COO of a company called Synergy Life Science. And they have been working really hard to get these products out there for the many, many health benefits. And we're also going to be covering a little bit about COVID and how cannabis can actually, and CBD can help with what we're all kind of going through right now. So with that being said, I would love to bring on my guest. I've got Chris Gerlach, who is the CEO, and Zachary Hudson, who is the COO. So you guys, welcome. Thank you so much for being here as my guest.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Of course. So
you're lovely.
Oh, well, thank you. So let's just get into it. Tell us about Synergy Life Science, how it started and like what you guys do.
Okay. Synergy Life Science was founded about just under a year ago. I met these gentlemen through a multitude of strange means, like connections that I didn't even know, but we ended up meeting together and finding we had a lot of passions in common. And one is, I've been in the regulated industry space for over 25 years. So, I'm very familiar with working with the FDA, with working with regulated products, with developing what they call active pharmaceutical ingredients. I have several patents along those lines as well. And, we're taking a product here, hemp, that for over a century is been grown in the United States, was grown in the United States for over a century as an industrial crop. And we're taking an agricultural product, an industrial kind of crop, and we are introducing it to a regulated pharmaceutical language. And so there's reason to expect there to be some Wild West, as they call it, so to speak. So go ahead, Zach, if you want to add on.
Yeah, so, with Synergy Life Science and meeting Chris and a couple of the other guys really was kind of an answer to prayer for me. I'd been in the cannabis industry for almost 15 years from various sides of it, starting on more the medical marijuana side, and had some challenges with my grandmother that who was diagnosed with cancer. And I was shocked. She's very straight-laced, woman. And she came to my mom and said, "Hey, I want to try an alternative route." And we were all thrilled. And I think, maybe due to, stuff that I'd shared with her on various visits that I'd been learning as I'd been cultivating the cannabis plant and exploring things, sharing the benefits. And so was able to get her a product that worked phenomenally for her and still is. She still actually sent her a bottle today, actually keeping her on her regiment of the good extracts. But yeah, so, one of the things that I was running into was that you've got these cannabinoids, which are, the various components of the cannabis plant that have all the benefit. And those are in a form that's, once you dry it out, it's literally a crystal. It looks not much different than a quartz crystal. So you've got that's hydrophobic, trying to get that into the body through water into your cannabinoid system, which just doesn't work if you're putting it in an oil like most people do. So I had actually started a prior cannabis company in Tennessee and wasn't able to get to where I wanted to go with a product that was effective as I knew was possible. And so met Chris and pretty much told him my idea, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's easy." So Chris and I, spent a lot of time in some brainstorming, kind of R&D development stages at the beginning of this company, just talking about ideas. And, we are a great pair because I'm very, come from much more of a creative, kind of outside of the box approach. And then Chris can go, "Oh yeah, I know how to do that. That's perfect." So we complement each other really well in that. So that's really what kind of started us down this path is, yes, we're a hemp we're making hemp products right now, but we're really an ingredients company, and our focus is delivery systems and epigenetic and high quality ingredients that actually get to where they need to go. And it's consistently dosed every single time, instead of having something like most CBD or cannabis products on the market are 2 to 10% bioavailable. Well, if you took a pill and you've got 2 to 10% chance that it's going to be the same as it was when you took it yesterday and it worked great, that's terrible. So we needed something better, and that's what we're doing, which I'm very excited about.
So let's talk about that, because I've heard so much about CBD, and tell us some of the benefits of it, and what makes your CBD different from the CBD that you see at the stores.
Sure. You want to jump on that, Chris?
Well, yes, I wanted to bring up one point of clarification. And just, these are days that we have to be really careful about wording. Yeah. Okay. And there's no harm or no foul, but I'll tell you, the last few weeks I subscribe, anybody can do this. And I highly recommend it. If you're interested in understanding the government's perspective of what's going on in the CBD industry, then you can sign up for Google Alerts or FDA Alerts from the FDA.gov website. Mm-hmm. And you'll get to see things like warning letters that go out, who they go out to, how many go out. And the last few weeks, there's been several warning letters that have gone out to CBD companies because they have been making hints or claims or some sort of communicating in some way that CBD may be helpful to COVID. And there's simply no testing that I'm familiar with to justify that at this point in time. Now, CBD has antimicrobial properties. That's undeniable. Antimicrobial is not necessarily antiviral. It's not, so I would say that there's potential, and there's certainly potential that CBD will help relieve some of the symptoms of COVID. Many people talk about their CBD experience, and in a manner that they're getting pain relief benefits. Most of that's due to the huge anti-inflammatory properties of CBD. There's
real quickly, I want to talk about, because you said anti-inflammatory, there's this new symptom of COVID that's popped up in children.
Yes.
Where it's an inflammatory thing. Can CBD be beneficial to kids?
Well, CBD is beneficial to kids with epilepsy right now. The first CBD drug on the market came on the market in June of 2018, and it was an epilepsy seizure medication. Now, that is the only CBD drug that I'm aware of that's gone through a formal new drug application with the FDA. It means that they've done all this clinical testing and have had all these participants, and they have statistically significant information that validates that something works, or actually, cures or helps in some way. So we have to just be real careful about making claims and giving false hope here, because this is not a virus to play around with. This is serious stuff. And this new deviation into children, when it first came out, everybody thought kids were safe. If you're a young teenager or early 20s, you're safe, but it is morphed. And yesterday, I could be wrong, but I think yesterday they said it's actually the 9th mutation now of COVID. So that's something that I didn't know. That was when we went through the little drive-through line to get our nasal swab tests.
So you got the test yesterday?
Actually, it was the day before yesterday, I think specifically.
How was it?
Yeah.
Was it painful?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like it's a 1 out of 10, something crammed up your nose for just a couple seconds,
Yeah.
But
So that brings me to kind of my next question. You guys are in the health
Mhm.
industry, and how do you think that your kind of discoveries and your research will change because of this?
Well,
Good
is that,
question.
I've been talking a lot, but you want?
No, go ahead on that, and then I'll jump in
Okay.
on the prior question as well.
All right, sounds good. Here's, in this world, we have to be flexible today, don't we? One day we're working from an office in Buckhead, the next day we're, in meetings on our computers and lockdown and travel restrictions. And, a situation like this is, I think this is the third or fourth time in history, recorded history, a pandemic has occurred. Besides, some people have very little symptoms. Some people have extreme symptoms. My wife has a suppressed immune system, and so I would say she got the bad end of the stick, probably one of the worst cases.
Oh, she had it?
She does not have it active. She has the antibody, so she had it.
Okay.
What she has now, though, is continuing. We shouldn't even probably discuss this on the air because these symptoms are not yet tied necessarily to COVID, but I think her immune system is very low anyway. So some of the things that happen to her may not happen to most people.
And I just want to say one thing to the listeners out there. We're dealing with a newer product, and all natural product that usually they're not pushed kind of by the government because it's not really in big pharma. So a lot of the stuff that we're hearing today too is research that they've done, but again, it's all opinion, and to make sure that you do your research if you run into a symptom, and to make sure that you do what's best for you. But again, this is the research they've done, the things that they've seen, but because we don't know enough about this, to make sure you're consulting your doctor as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one thing I'll jump in and say with this, the question of what will this do for the future of Synergy Life Science? As we were speaking, Madison, actually off camera at the beginning, and talking about, people in New York and trying to, deal with who's moving and selling property and what all's happening. And, the phrase that I had brought up that I really have enjoyed to look at in my own life and those around me that I care about is the observation of fragility. And when you have a fragile system, you need to do, I feel like it's very important to do all that we can to become more and more self-sufficient so that we're not as fragile and we're not depending upon so much outside things to take care of us. And so I think, one thing that already has changed with Synergy Life Science is that, we had a roadmap of products, integrating some various patents that we have and that we filed. And we had a clearly laid out lineage of products that we were, getting ready to be pushing. And what, I feel like everybody is focusing on now, and what is, I think, is really important is essential. The only things that are left are things that are essential. So, things that are essential are going to be like your air quality within your house, knowing that you can put something on your counter and that it's clean, knowing you can bring your groceries home and you can spray them down with something and you can put it on your pillow and you're going to be safe. So these type of essential things are what we've really focused in on here. How can we take care of what's most essential? I feel like is having somebody feel safe. If you don't feel safe, then it doesn't matter how much anti-inflammatory stuff you're going to have, your body's just going to be inflamed all the time. So we got to get down to really allowing people to feel safe. And, one of the things that does help people feel safe is scientifically proven things. And so, that's what has pushed Chris, as you see, is, Chris is very focused on making sure that everything's backed by science and is, is FDA approved in the areas that have to be, compliant with the FDA. There's things that are, can be scientifically proven, like sanitizers made with 80% alcohol are going to kill things. Well, there's, huge alcohol shortage. All right, well, what are alternatives? those are things that we already have patents for and things we're already working that come in times of need like this and go, oh, here's actually another sanitizer that works better and is not using an alcohol. And so there's not a bottleneck of it. And now we've got, infinite gallons of it to be able to get into people's homes so they feel safe. So they're not stressed about, you've got tiny little bit of sanitizer left that you're trying to stretch as far as you can because, you don't feel like you can get any more because people are running out of it. So, we really are focused on innovations as well and figuring out how to, look at that. Alcohol is something, a fragile system. All right, well, let's bring something else in so that we don't have to be fragile because we've got everything we need around us all the time. It's always here. It's just about figuring out how to incorporate it into, the proper delivery system and the proper product to actually be functional. So that's been a big change for us, is really focusing on getting products that people need, that are going to be helpful, that we're proud of. I'm not here for making money. I'm here to make a change in people's lives. That's what's always driven me. So yeah, I'm excited about where we are right now with the sanitizers that we've got in the works right now. We've got some incredibly unique formulas that, are even blowing our minds a bit. But put us in a position where, we don't have to wait for, even waiting for a plastic bottle to be available for someone to put a new sanitizer in, cutting out certain steps and using alternatives so that we don't ever run into a position where we're out of anything. Because the essence of life is that everything is so much more abundant than we could possibly need.
Oh, absolutely. So do you think that the CDC will ever, and the FDA, will endorse all natural products, like your sanitizers and then
Well, I think so. When you think about the fact that CBD, is one of many cannabinoids that are part of the hemp plant, right? But it's been isolated, and it's gone through clinical trials and shown to be effective at treating epilepsy. And so, the FDA did its due diligence before allowing that drug to hit the market. And that's really the ownership that we and companies that are focused on epigenetic ingredients. We call them epigenetics because they're natural products. The simple Chris Gerlach version of the definition: natural products that truly provide a healing function. So there are things, as we all know, in natural products that provide, healthy benefits to us. Technically, the definition of a drug is anything that changes the normal functioning of your body. Mm-hmm. So sunscreen is a drug. A lot of people don't think of it that way, but it is. SPF is regulated. It's a drug claim. Anything that says anti in front of it is a drug claim. So if you say, anti-acne, then there's, certain protocols and things that you have to go through, and only certain ingredients that are approved to be used to treat that condition. So we, as manufacturers of high purity epigenetic ingredients that will cater to both pharma and all of the areas of health and wellness, whether it's skin care, hair care, ocular care, we are looking for the most efficient and safe ways to deliver product into people. You won't see us doing much in the vape market. I hope it doesn't disappoint you.
No.
But,
we got phenomenal alternatives, though.
That's right. But if you're interested in the benefits of CBD, then, the lung membrane is very good at giving you high bioavailability of CBD into your bloodstream. Whereas a tincture that you put under your tongue and let it sit for 30 seconds to 2 minutes ranges, Zachary, what, 8 to 13% absorption? Yeah. And where you get into lung tissue, 55+% absorption into the bloodstream. So how can we get CBD into the lungs safely? Yeah. So then we start thinking about, we treat our kids, croup cough with a nebulizer. So instead of heating up air to 400 degrees and burning an oil into my lungs. Why don't we compress air, not heat it, put the functional, product in there and nebulize, open your lungs, help yourself, heal and breathe better instead of, kind of being counterproductive.
And a nebulizer, that's the thing that you like put on your mouth and you like pump the air.
That would be.
I don't know.
I tell you
yeah,
what.
There's a small trailer you pull behind you that has it now.
Well, I thought it's like you see them in the hospital. Like.
If you can,
yes, there are a lot of different types of nebulizers, but yeah, so we have some patented technology that we've been working with that Chris is kind of alluding here that is a formulation for this. And so, yeah, the nebulizers we're working with are much more like pocket sized, kind of similar to the look of a vape unit. For people who, this is a company that makes these physical units for people that, need to have them on the go and much more fit in your purse kind of, iPhone's casing looks very sleek compared to the pump that you were showing. Similar concept.
I would have showed it to you. I think I got all mine
concept.
down in the lab, though, unfortunately. But
no worries.
The picture of the nebulizers we're talking about would fit in about half the size of my hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very much like the size of something you'd stick in your pocket if you were going to vape. But the benefit, is that you're not going to damage your lungs. And we are even looking into studies to see if we can cleanse lungs, if we can actually reverse damage that's been done from vaping and smoking, things like that. So
and even COVID.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So with the whole vaping thing, is it the heat that's causing the damage?
The heat is on. I would say, if you think about it, if it burns going in, it hurts a little, or going in, it probably isn't. It's an indication your body's telling you it's probably not the healthiest way to administer something.
Too, like your lungs clearing.
Right.
Yes. Also, the coating of the oil on your lung membrane is a lot of the issue as well, because the various aspects and membrane of the lungs are absorbing the oxygen from our body. So if you paint over those, if you will, with some type of oil residue, it's not going to be doing its job properly. So that's part of the issue as well, is what the oil turns into when heated in that manner, and how it can just continue to be layer over layer over layer of the membranes in your lungs, which is going to be terrible.
I had
go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to just add on to that. There's there's a term used in chemistry, and this will be the driest Melbatose piece thing I'll say, about 3 words. Okay. Remind me, what were we?
You're talking about vaping and the layers of.
Yes. So I know
joking comment.
400 degrees Celsius is pretty hot. Most of these atomizers that I've seen are raising temperatures between 315 or so degrees to as high as 400 degrees, maybe plus Celsius. So that's a little bit more than burning in my mind. If I stick my finger in boiling water at 100 degrees F, I'm going to get burned. Mm-hmm. If I breathe in something at 400 degrees Celsius, something's going to get damaged along the way. Right. It's going to be my throat. It might be, it could be my lungs, but that's my personal feeling. Now, again, me, I haven't clinically proven that. So can I say, that this is absolutely bad for you? I would just say, one death is too many. And so, it's counterintuitive to me to be inhaling a cooked oil. I would much rather be eating from that cooked oil.
Right, exactly. When a nebulizer, because you're saying the absorption rate for the lungs is better for the benefits. So what's the difference between sucking a nebulizer and sucking a vape? Or smoking, I guess, is the more appropriate word.
It's really just temperature.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're
And the
when you,
formula as well.
yeah, and the formula too. When you're putting the little mask on a child's face to help treat their croup cough, right? Um, it's just breathing in a steady stream of almost steam, and it's not heat even; it's compressed air, you know. And what that does is it brings the same bioavailability as smoking it would. So I am giving your lungs this much CBD to work with. Now, how much of this is actually going to be functional? So this is where we get into this dry melbatose thing. There's a process called decarboxylation, and if you can say that 5 times fast, you win a prize today. But decarboxylation is actually, it's just a long fancy term for just meaning applying a little heat. And when you apply a little heat to the hemp plant or to CBD or other cannabinoids, it destroys them. It makes them unwind. In fact, oftentimes the way that we can grab a specific cannabinoid, isolate it, and research it is we have to heat it to decarboxylate it. Kind of, it's like muscle tissue. You want to untie it all so you can get that fiber and that fiber and that fiber, right? And then we're going to twirl them back together again in a few different ways and see if we can't find the absolute best delivery system to treat whatever condition we're working on. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just amazing stuff. And the thing is too, I think, people that, let's say, smoke cigarettes or smoke vapes, I think, yes, there is a real addiction to nicotine, but I think it's also the mental habit of sucking something. So
absolutely.
I still suck my thumb, you know.
Right. I hope you're wearing your retainer at night.
Yeah, I've got my diaper on. I'm just,
oh man. Yeah, the oral fixation aspect. Yeah, you're very right. And that's, again, for us. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I said you could really help people as far as like quitting the poisonous stuff and putting something that's more beneficial. But with that being said, you guys mentioned you're working on something to heal the lungs, which applies to smoking, obviously, and the vaping and now COVID. When do you think that's going to be available? Because that sounds like the best thing ever.
Well, isn't that always the case? It sounds good in theory, right? And then you go to the lab and you start working on it and you find out, all of the different elements that affect the outcome and you have to work around them. So I would say we're beginning the process.
Okay.
We have great reason to believe that a patented process we have when we apply it to water and to specific formulations with this water can detox and cleanse. We believe that is possible. We have not proven it. We have not clinically tested it yet, but that is something that's on the game plan. So for anybody listening, I am not making a claim in any way. I'm saying this is just an area of study that I think would bring great benefit to people. And that's what, we're in business for. It would be just another job if we weren't trying to improve the quality of life for consumers. That's Zach's passion. That's my passion. Everybody in this company that you speak to on any given day, you'll find that that's at the heart of everything we do.
So what about, because, there's people that will say like, okay, don't smoke cigarettes, it's bad for you, which we all know, but then they'll go and they'll roll a joint and smoke it. Are the lung cancers, does it cause lung cancer as well as cigarettes? You're smoking something.
We have a group of doctors on a medical advisory board that is growing for our company. And if you like, I feel much more comfortable having one of our doctors really address that. They deal with this every day. They see the impressions of the lungs and everything. They really would be the best spokespeople to talk to that. There's so much I'd love to be able to say, and I hope when we do these clinical tests that perhaps you'll have us back on and we can share some of the great results that we hope.
I mean, you guys. Okay, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. To jump in on that question, So one of the things that's great about the cannabis plant in comparison to the tobacco plant is that right now, due to the lack of acceptance on a nationwide platform for the cannabis plant, it's still regulated state to state. Some places you can grow marijuana, some places you can't. Some places you can grow hemp and marijuana, but you can't grow, or some places you can grow marijuana, but you can't grow hemp, or vice versa. It's very regulated still. So because of that, there's not really a nationwide federal approved herbicide and pesticide that can be sprayed on the plant. Well, that is absolutely 100% not the case with tobacco. Tobacco, you can spray all kinds of pesticides and all kinds of herbicides and all kinds of stuff that you want on the tobacco plant. Well, then that plant's harvested, rolled up into a cigarette, put in a packet, give it to somebody. So when you're smoking a cigarette, you're smoking all the things that were in the soil, that were sprayed on the plant, that were a part of the process of, getting that plant prepared into the actual matter that's going into the cigarette, which is all acceptable, very acceptably done. But you can't do that for the cannabis plant. So if you're rolling up say for instance, a flower of hemp or, even medical marijuana, you know that it's not going to have been sprayed with herbicides and pesticides. So, and also it's not going to be grown in soil that has been, heavily sprayed in the past. So therefore, just as a plant matter, the matter that's going into a joint versus the matter that's going into a cigarette are very, very different things. You've got one that's just plant matter, and you've got one that's plant matter with lots of chemicals in it. So you really would have to break it down more into how does smoke affect the lungs? Okay, we'll start there because that's what you're going to experience with a joint. How does smoke laced with these particular chemicals heated to these particular temperatures affect the lungs? That's what you really have to look at the toss up there. So, and also generally, if someone's rolling a joint for, say they're maybe smoking a strain that's, a 1-to-1 ratio of THC, which is the psychoactive component, and CBD, which is more of the anti-inflammatory, more, pain-focused aspect. That ratio, they may only smoke, one of those or two of those a day, versus someone who's like, oh yeah, they can smoke 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes a day, So there's very different applications. For most people that are, smoking a joint isn't something that happens that, all throughout the day. It's 1 or 2 throughout the day, So that's another thing to consider in that situation.
Okay. And then you talked about hemp and marijuana. Can you explain the difference?
Absolutely. Yeah. So both marijuana and hemp are 2 words that have been made up that have nothing to do with the scientific name of the plant, which is cannabis. So marijuana is a word that was created by the DEA in the 70s to try and, ultimately assist parents in being cautious of their kids, turning into a reefer madness kind of situation. Which is, kind of made to sound a little dirty and a little not from America. So that's what, marijuana is an expression of the cannabis plant that has higher than 0.3% of THC. THC is the psychoactive component. So if you've got cannabis that is higher than 0.3% of THC, it's considered marijuana. If you have cannabis that's lower than 0.03% THC, then it's considered hemp. So that's it. It's just how much of the psychoactive component is there. High psychoactive marijuana, low psychoactive hemp. That really is the differentiation between. And then there's one other aspect to it is that the cannabis plant can either be a male or a female. And the male plant is tall and thin. Well, not thin. Tall with much less branches and more fibrous, and then the female expression is usually shorter, much bulkier, and has the big buds that you'll see like in a dispensary somewhere, or what is in the industry called flower, which is really the fruiting flower of the plant, and that's where all the cannabinoids are. So if somebody's growing to use the plant for some type of extracted CBD, or they want to, extract the various cannabinoids outside of CBD, you'd be growing the female version. Now, if you're looking to, make different canvases or different industrial applications, you'd be growing the hemp, the male version of the hemp, like, we were forced to in the World War times, grow hemp for the war, and all these farmers, if you were a farmer, you were forced to grow it, so that's the industrial side of things, which would be more the male expression of the cannabis plant.
Okay.
That's, by the way,
makes
we
sense?
are excited about too, I might add.
Yeah, the industrial applications are incredible. That's the real new frontier of the cannabis plant. And so there's a lot of health benefits, but there's a lot of it.
What do you mean by that? In products?
Plastic. We'll just start there. Plastic. All plastic can be eliminated, no problem. It never should have been created, really. I mean, if it wasn't for DuPont and oil and having somewhat of a monopoly on oil, there'd be no such thing as oil-based polymers. It would have all just continued to remain hemp, which is what was kind of originally being explored when plastic came around. So, yeah, plastic is on its way out, being replaced by more of a bioplastic made out of hemp.
But is that going to be, because there's one thing, like, I'm all about saving the environment, right? But
Sure.
Paper straws, that was the worst thing that was ever invented.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah. So you can hemp straws, no problem. Glass straws. I use metal straws myself. I have a friend who's got a great company for that. But so the industrial side has so many different opportunities to really revolutionize a lot of different industries. And that's, I think, what we'll see long term. There'll be, some land allocated in the states for growth of hemp, and I guess technically cannabis, for health reasons. But I would say majority of it's going to be used for the industrial side of things, which is great.
Yeah. And Madison, if I might add, are we okay on time?
You're perfect.
To that. When we talk about growing and pesticides and those concerns. I think it's important. You asked what some of the things that make our CBD or make our process or make us different from every other CBD brand that's on the market. Well, we have a patented process or patented technology that's applied to every single product that we put on the market. So we don't just do controlled grows because we're control freaks. We do controlled grow studies because we want to know how to impact this plant in a way that we can maximize the CBD potential without inflating THC percentages, which is a hard thing to do. And something that we, that this patented process, when applied to our irrigation system in a grow, has been effective at. Okay. It's been effective at doing increasing bioavailability of CBD over typical grows as well. And in general, a more robust harvest can be expected. We want to get a few more controlled grows under our belt before we make claims. But we're seeing a lot of positives, and probably one of the most exciting positives is the lack of desire of bugs to be around the plant. When we apply this process to our irrigation system, soil conditions change slightly, pH changes slightly, a little bit more alkaline, and energy actually takes place and is transferred, and essentially there's not an opportunity for pesticides, heavy metals, things like that to commingle anymore with the biomass that we're having come out of our grows when we apply the irrigation, when we apply this process to irrigation. Now, I think I might have overextended what I meant to say a little bit. Can you reel me in, Zach? Did I say that about right?
Yeah, that does sound about right.
Okay.
And I guess I'm not exactly sure where you were going with that.
Just the nematodes, other insects that infect other hemp grows.
Therefore, you don't need the pesticides, right?
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
That keep the bugs off, so it keeps.
Yes, and one of the things actually, it's doing as well is it's increasing the the virility of the plant, and therefore, instead of it using its energy to defend itself, it's allowed to use its energy to grow. So it's incredible how it does that. But that's part of the patent aspect that we can't really get into. But it's amazing. So that's the same process that's used in our product. So similar to a plant that, you know, is more robust, that its immune system is working at its optimum state. Okay. So when using that patented formula with our products, ultimately it's boosting your own immune system. So you've got more energy for your kids, for your job, for, you know, whatever it is that you're putting yourself into, which is phenomenal. So it's very, very exciting. It's nothing like anybody else has. And, you know, one of the things you know, you asked earlier, you know, what are the benefits of CBD? What are the benefits of you know, the plant and products and things of that nature? You know, you may have noticed from listening to Chris speak, he's really dancing around answering questions like that.
Thanks, Zach.
You're welcome. Because it's sadly, you know, the only thing that anybody can actually get on any platform and tell you that CBD actually does without getting in trouble by the FDA, getting shut down as a company, the only thing that we can tell you is that it's beneficial for stopping seizures, particular type of seizures in kids. That's the only approved FDA product on the market for CBD. So for us, because of the regulatory field that we're in, we can't tell you anything besides that CBD is beneficial for. But millions of people, one including my grandmother, can give you millions and millions of, you know, stories about the benefits of CBD. And, you know, so I wish that we could, you know, just gush about how incredible this plant is and all these things. But we would be putting ourselves in jeopardy in doing that. But what we can share is, you know, different testimonials and things of, you know, I with my own eyeballs next to a doctor was able to look at tumor scans of my grandmother and watch those tumors shrink. I saw that with my own eyes, and the doctor was baffled, completely baffled. And then once my grandmother told him what she was doing, he was furious, and he actually refused to see her for a little bit. And we threw a fit, and he, you know, started scanning her again. But ultimately, there's so much out there that's possible. And, you know, I'm hopeful that, you know, we'll get to a place very soon when we'll actually be able to make these claims and be able to, you know, have a lot of red tape cut so people can actually hear the benefits from, you know, coming out of the labs versus just hearing it from, you know, testimonials. But that's the challenge of this industry that we're in, is that, you know, anybody that wants to come on here and tell you that, yeah, CBD is anti-inflammatory, it's anti-tumor, it's anti-depression, it's all these things, they are opening themselves up to be shut down tomorrow. You know, and even if you took what I just said and you took it out of context and you didn't put in the beginning of what I said and pulled that out and said that about us, it could get us in trouble. But, you know, this obviously I'm not worried about that because we're doing it right.
Yeah.
Nobody knows where you are, Zach. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Wait, so that if something was working and the doctor was pissed, was it because he couldn't profit off of it?
Yes, because she was not taking, it was incredible, the amount of encouragement and kind of fear instilling that he was sharing with us, and especially my grandmother, if she didn't take the treatment that he was providing for her. And so she was continuing to say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do what you want me to do. And she was getting results. And so that's what he was pissed about, was that, one, he was being proven wrong. And two, yes, it was much more challenging for him to benefit the way that he was prior, the whole organization on a financial level. And there's so many benefits that you hear, whether it's FDA approved or not.
You know, the epilepsy one is one that I've heard, which is amazing. And then there's other things where, and I want to talk about this, they're starting to pop up in skincare. Is it actually anti-aging?
Sure.
It's a new thing to be trendy and sell.
You know, anti-age is a drug claim. Just reminding you, anti-anything medicine is a drug.
But I put drugs all over my face.
We all do, don't we? I mean, soap changes the normal functioning of my skin, which is the largest organ in my body. So, at some place there has to be a cutoff, right? But soap isn't regulated, but CBD is a class 5, it's a Schedule 5 drug right now in the US. And it's important that the drug be managed as a drug from a quality control perspective. There are guidelines from the FDA, there are purity guidelines, and I think I read something like 2,700, 2,800 approximately warning letters, plant closures, or lab closures in this industry have taken place in about the past year or so. And it's just, there's I guess the Wild West, is an appropriate name in some ways, because maybe people haven't been taught, hey, we make this for rope. We used to make this for rope. Maybe they just haven't been taught the skills, or we haven't engaged enough. I know we're trying to pull in university programs with farmers during the first years of grow, so they can learn and do pilot studies on growing and harvesting and processing and things like that. But so I'm not going to say that it's anti-age specifically, but I'm going to say, the best place to find out how CBD benefits people. First of all, you have my personal guarantee of quality. So when we say huge. It's in there, it is in there. And if you want, of course, you get a certificate of analysis with the product, but if you want it retested, we'll retest it. And if you're not sure what you're taking, and it's giving you weird side effects, I'll tell you a little story if we have more time about my little own experience with the local brand. Oh, really? Do you want to? Okay. When I was I was on vacation in the Bahamas this summer, and before we left to go out of town, the family, we picked up some CBD oil from a local manufacturer. Or I shouldn't say local, just a local brand that's sold here. And I think this is really going to open up the passion and some of the flaws that we see in this market right now. But, so I'm sitting by the pool with my wife. I had a pina colada, I confess, one pina colada. I took some CBD. And before I could walk 15 paces, I lost complete muscle failure. My body, my legs, my arms, collapsed. I had to struggle to lift my hands up. And my wife is a 25-year veteran ER nurse.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 25 years old. I was like, geez.
So what are you saying? How old do I look now?
I'm like 25 is a little young for me too,
At least 30.
Grandpa? No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. So, so all I could think to say, I grabbed my wife. I didn't know if I was going to live or die, honestly, Madison. I didn't know if I was having a heart attack. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what a stroke feels like. All I know is that I could barely get 3 words out of my mouth, and that was, I love you, to my wife. That's all I could say. Eventually, 30, 45 minutes later, those symptoms cleared. I was able to walk, talk, and function again. And, what they didn't know when they sold me that CBD is that, I'm an owner in an FDA-approved laboratory, and we can test things all day long. And it turns out that there was K2. Are you familiar with that name, K2?
Isn't that ketamine?
K2.
The horse tranquilizer.
Yep. Yeah. Supposed to be synthetic THC, kind of. But yeah, horse tranquilizer is more like it. Wow. So that's what was spiked in my CBD oil. Now, this was last summer, June, July timeframe, about a year ago.
Uh-huh.
So that brand's still being sold today. I can't tell you what's in it, but I'll never buy it again.
Wow.
So, if I can, so there's going to be there are tons of places you can go to buy CBD. And if there's only one thing your audience remembers today, at least from me, would be that, as many places and brands as there are CBD to buy, and platforms to buy them on, we like to look at things from a scientific point of view. So we look at the CBD and consider ourselves like the scientific lens, that we are taking approach on every product that we make, looking through a scientific lens to optimize the benefits of this plant and deliver it so that we can give consumers the product that they want and the best absolute benefit from it.
So let's talk about that then. Where do we buy your product so the listeners can go and get this if they wish?
Probably the easiest. Yeah, probably the easiest way to do that would be go to smartsynergy.com. That'll take you to our corporate website, and from there you can link to different products that we have. Relief Essentials is the brand right now that we're doing most of our CBD releases under, and all of these are just as Chris is talking about, unique, science-based, but also specifically formulated for absorption of the different location that they're being absorbed in, whether that be under the tongue or we have some soft gels that are designed specifically to be water soluble through the stomach liner. So yes, smartsynergy.com. You can also go to our Synergy Life Science Facebook. You can go to our Relief Essentials, and that's Relief with a spelled like a leaf, L-E-A-F, Relief Essentials. You can go to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the all the standard social medias.
Yeah.
So yeah, and as Chris was kind of explaining there, with the Wild West of this industry, and I've been able to see that as well from the first company that I started in Tennessee, and we had some companies that were popping up locally around there that had fentanyl in the product. So you hear that it's a great anti-inflammatory. CBD is great for pain. Well, yeah, what else is great for pain? Fentanyl. Yeah. So you go, wow, this CBD stuff's amazing. So fentanyl, and then there was also some people cutting corners that were buying a synthetic CBD from China that actually killed people. So that's the if someone can really look at this interview and decipher from this what we're about is making sure that we set ourselves apart from that. Even tying our tongues and some of the things that I would like to say. Because it's, I've seen things firsthand. And so, I can say from my personal experience that I've seen CBD shrink a tumor, but I can't say that as a, scientific proof. But, I'm happy to take someone through that process and show them the scans and go, well, what more proof do you need than this, besides replicating it, over and over again.
Right.
But, so we are so dedicated to making sure that everything that we do is, from crop to drop, from, soil quality to, the individuals that are cultivating the plant and treating it properly with our patented irrigations and things of that nature to, proper manufacturing practices to, most sustainable packaging, sustainable inks for our labels, biodegradable as much as possible of everything.
Wow.
Down to making sure that the formula is designed specifically to be absorbed where it needs to be absorbed to get it into the endocannabinoid system and have the consistent dosing as possible. So, one of the things that I've always lived by, and it's part of my Native American heritage, is in Native American tradition, no decision is made unless it's going to benefit the next 7 generations. Which I wish, I hope and pray that someday we'll, look at that as a whole for, something beyond just a tradition from a group of people that are, not here as much before. But, if it's going to harm any of the next 7 generations, I can't get behind it, or else I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. I can't do that because our kids, need the future that is brighter than ours now. So all we should be doing is fortifying the next 7 generations, not doing anything that could bring any harm to them. So that's the process that I go through whenever I'm thinking about anything we're doing. It's okay, how does this work for the next 7 generations? So we really stand by our purity and our quality and our delivery systems and our formulations. It's crucial for us. And it's crucial for people.
Right, absolutely. And so the last question I want to ask you guys, because I've heard this a lot, that CBD takes like weeks to get into your system to awaken the CBD receptors. Is yours more quickly because it absorbs faster, or?
Yes, with our delivery system and increasing the bioavailability, that means that it is going to get into your system more quickly and can expedite those 3 days. And generally, it's something that's felt pretty immediately than something that's felt over, in the next couple of days. You feel the benefits immediately, and those prolong as long as you're using the products.
Yeah.
Good question.
But yeah, this has been so amazing and so educational, and just really provides a lot of hope, I feel, for people, because there's relief out there, and you guys are working on things that are life changing, especially with the lung damage and being caused from COVID or Corona, whatever they're calling it today. So keep up the amazing work. And again, you guys, you can go to smartsynergy.com to purchase any of the products. At least you know that they're clean and they're all natural, and what you're putting in your body is good for it, versus just grabbing a product off the shelf that you don't really know what's in it. So make sure, and again, like, all these things are kind of opinions, and so do your best research and do what's best for you, whether it's CBD or whether you want to go to the pharmacy and take a drug that's probably worse for you. It's up to you. Everybody's in control of their own health, and we are here to educate, but not to tell you what to do. So again, all opinions, and I'm so happy I sat down with you guys. I know I'm going to go to your website and buy this, because I feel like it's just beneficial to, for anxiety that I think a lot of people have.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, I would say that the 2 things that really I think would be the most beneficial right now would be the anxiety aspect, because everyone, that's one of the things I feel like is potentially more damaging even than this might ruffle some feathers, but I really believe this. I feel like that, what the loss of hope, I think potentially can be more detrimental right now than the actual virus. As I feel like people are really, really finding themselves feeling very hopeless and very powerless to this tiny little thing that, it's like, really, you don't feel like there's anything maybe that's bigger than this little thing that helped create you in the way that you are. Some people want to call it God. Some people call it other things. You don't feel like there's any way that we have the ability to, to grow out of this, or that we can just be powerless. Definitely not. It doesn't mean that there are not products that we're creating and other people are creating that can benefit, but I feel like it's so important to keep hope right now, and to really keep that alive, and know that we are more powerful than we think that we are, and to stay, aware that this is going to be in a history book some point in time, but it's not the end of history. And to keep, keep our eyes, keep our eyes shining, because we're incredible.
Exactly.
So yeah, and
the other thing is too, is like, keep the hope. Watch the news if you can, but not all the time, and really educate yourself, because sometimes what the media is feeding us isn't always true. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. So research. Don't fight with your friends on Facebook. You're not going to win any opinions on Facebook. All right. You believe. Do what's best for you and your health, and we're going to get through this. And again, it's Smart Synergy. And you guys, I am so grateful that you guys were my guests. You were so much fun.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So thank you, Chris and Zachary. This is amazing.
Awesome. Well, and one more thing I want to throw in is that there's a 40% off sale happening right now.
That's right.
So it's a limited time. It's been up for a little while, but we may extend that again. We're very focused on doing our best to help people that are at home, that are having some impacts financially. So we've put up the 40% off, and then we're also about to launch an affiliate program. where people such as yourself or anybody can become an affiliate, repost ads, put in the affiliate code, and they get paid. So trying to make America great again in our own way, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I had no
exactly
political
what.
affiliation. And if it did, that's great.
No.
If that's great too. Everybody just needs to just be happy and relax.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
right.
Exactly.
Chill.
CBD if you feel a little neurotic.
Yeah. Get some good
That's what we
sleep.
call it. Chill, one of them.
Yeah, chill. Madison,
right.
thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you for
And you
having
guys listening at home or watching at home, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Next to Madison. And we'll see you guys next time to find out who's next. Hi, your host, Madison Malloy here. I just wanted to remind you guys to please follow the show on social media at Next to Madison. And if you have any questions or suggestions for the show, or you feel that you would be a great guest on the show and would love to be considered, please feel free to email me at nexttomadison@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms. And I thank you again for listening.